team, I hope you're all well. Today I am going to be doing my May stats wrap up. I had a reasonably good month in the month of May. I didn't read as much as I previously do, but on average I think it was pretty good. I managed to read 14 books in total. Let's have a quick look at what happened with Bookopley. So this was my TBR. You will notice that Jade City and Hero of Ages are on here. I did swap them out for Kingdom of Flesh and Fire and also The Crown of Gilded Bones because I wasn't going to get to them and I needed still to read Jade City and Hero of Ages. So I narrowed my 4 really chunky fantasies down to 2, which was really good. So I had In the Ravenous Dark by A.M. Strickland, I had Wind Witch by Susan Dennard, Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson, Sight Witch by Susan Dennard, Jade City by Fonda Lee, and Heartstopper Volume 4 by Alice Oseman. And I actually managed to read all of these, so you will have already seen my June TBR, but I did not need a punishment with these because I managed to get through them all, which is pretty good. Overall I had a really good month. Like I say, I managed to read 14 books in total, and over those 14 books I read 5,330 pages. So yeah, it was a reasonable month. I DNF'd 1 book, which was Meet Cute Diary by Emery Lee. I just was not enjoying this whatsoever. I will leave a link to the video up here so you can find out my reasons why, but essentially I just felt like it was too young and I hated the main character. I couldn't stand him. So generally I just didn't care enough about the plot to continue on with this and ignore the fact that the main character was someone I disliked. I just ended up DNFing it. I was really sad about it because I was really excited about this as well, and this cover's gorgeous. So I was gutted about it, but yeah, I just ended up DNFing this one. But still, thank you to Harper360 for sending me a copy of this one. I do appreciate it. I'm just really sad that I ended up DNFing it. So yeah, I gave 7 books 5 stars, 5 books 4 stars, and 2 books 3 stars. I didn't give any 1 or 2 stars out. So this is my stack of 14 books. It's a reasonably hefty stack. Let's go through these ratings. So the first book that I read was Rameza by Radia Hafiz. I gave this one 3 stars. It was good. I enjoyed where it went, and I think there may be more coming from this. There may be a series of these. I hope there is, because they were really enjoyable and I would love to continue on with the series. I then read Wind Witch by Susan Dennard, which I gave 4 stars. I'm really enjoying this series and I'm so glad that Jade is doing Witchlands along. I will leave a link to Jade's channel down below if you want to go and check her out and find out more information on that. But yeah, really enjoyed this one, gave it 4 stars. I gave Felix Ever After by Case and Calendar 4 stars as well. Really enjoyed the story of this one. The characters were great and I really liked where the story went. Also, this book is stunning, so yeah. 4 stars for Felix Ever After. Then I read Heartstopper Volume 4, which naturally got 5 stars. Of course it's going to get 5 stars. I love this series so much. It's fantastic and I cannot wait to continue on with the series. I gave Saint's Blood by Sebastien de Castell 5 stars. I love this series so much. It's my favourite series of the year so far, closely followed by Mistborn Era 1, but I really enjoyed this one. This is actually my lowest rated of the whole series, but I did enjoy it nonetheless. But yeah, 5 stars for this one. Really love this series. Highly recommend if you love your grimdark fantasy with a bit of comedy in there. It's very good indeed. I gave In the Ravenous Dark by A.M. Strickland 4 stars. This was such a good read. I really enjoyed myself with this. The queer rep in here is fantastic and I'm really excited to pick up more from A.M. Strickland in the future. I know that they have another book that they've written previously to this one, which I think is Beyond the Black Door. Yeah, Beyond the Black Door. So yeah, I'm looking forward to picking that one up hopefully soon. But yeah, I would love to read more from this author in the future, so highly recommend this one. 4 stars. Then I gave Tyrant's Throne 5 stars. This was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Such a great end to the series. I was so sad it was over, but I just had a blast reading this. I will never get bored of this series. It was so good. Then I read The King's Letters by Sebastien de Castell. I'll show a picture of it here. This is an extremely short short story. It's like 34 pages long, if that, of letters from the king to his greatcoats. It's part of the Greatcoat series, and I gave this one 5 stars as well. It was so good to see these letters and see what they entailed and what they had in them, and see what the greatcoats were kind of left with before the king died. So yeah, had a really good time with that one. Then I read Accidentally Engaged by Farah Heron. I friggin' loved this book. This was so good. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was fantastic. I loved everything about it. The characters were awesome. I loved the whole cooking thing. It was just brilliant. I loved it. The families in here were fantastic. Oh, I just loved it. It was so good. Highly recommend. 5 stars. Then I read Dreaming Sun Volume 2 by Ichigo Takano. This is a manga, and I gave this one 3 stars. I did enjoy it. It is getting to a point where I am noticing the problematic things in here a little bit more, but nonetheless I do continue to pick it up because I do enjoy it. It's a nice little respite. It's a nice little palate cleanser when I'm reading lots of fantasy. So I am enjoying this one so far, and I gave this one 3 stars. Then I read Jade City by Fonda Lee, which I gave 4 stars. I was really surprised at this. I didn't think I was going to get through this book. It did take me a while. It took me a long time to get through it, but that was me, not the book. But otherwise, I really enjoyed this one. It was great, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully getting to Jade War at some point as well. And I know that Jade Legacy is coming out later on in the year, I think. So yeah, really enjoyed this one and gave it 4 stars. Then I read Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson, which is the 3rd and final book in the Mistborn Era 1 series, and I gave this one 5 stars. I friggin' love this series. It's just so good. I love Brandon Sanderson's writing style. It's fantastic. I just have such a great time with his books. So I'm really excited about carrying on with more of Brandon Sanderson's books, and I cannot wait to get to Alloy of Law in June. So yeah, 5 stars for this one. Then I read The Roommate by Rosie Dannon, and I friggin' love this. I gave this 5 stars. I thought that there was a lot that was dealt with in this that we don't see much of in books, to be perfectly honest, and I just thought it was really good. Not only is this an adult romance, but the themes that are dealt with in here, the subject matters, are very adult that we don't see much of in the way that this is done. Essentially, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it's just really cleverly done. And I even thought that obviously romances have that usual thing where people meet, they have a romance, they then have a falling out, and then they get back together. That's the whole point in a romance. But even the falling out, I was like, you know what, no, I get it. I get why this happened, and I see what's happened here. I didn't roll my eyes. Usually I roll my eyes and I'm like, somebody fucking lied here and there was no need to do it. Whereas this one was a case of, no, I get what's happened here, and I totally get how this fallout has happened. It was just so good. Really enjoyed this. Looking forward to picking up The Intimacy Experiment by Rosie Dannon soon, because I have that on my shelves as well. So I will definitely be reading more from Rosie in the future, but I really enjoyed this one. 5 stars. It was fantastic. And then the final book that I finished in the month of May, which I actually finished this morning, is Sight Witch by Susan Dennard. I say this morning, I mean Monday morning, so the 30th of May. 31st of May, even. I gave this one 4 stars. This was really good. It was great to get Ryber and Cullen's backstory, essentially, and get some more information on Ryber. I really enjoyed this one. It's only short. It is a novella. It's book 2.5 in the series, and I really enjoyed the way that this was laid out as well, because it is mixed media. You have letters, you have sketches, there is all sorts in here. So it's very cleverly done. Really enjoyed this one. 4 out of 5 stars. So naturally, because I had a really good month, I didn't necessarily have like a worst book of the month, but if we're going to go for most disappointing book of the month, it's got to be Meet Cute Diary. I'm really sad that I ended up DNFing this one. I was so hyped for this. I was really excited to be like, yay, cutesy YA contemporary. Side note, I do think that I'm probably getting to a point where I'm getting too old for YA contemporary, but I'm going to test that theory in the month of June because I have quite a bit of YA contemporary on my June TBR, so we're going to be testing that theory and see what I find out about it. But I think I am probably getting too old for YA contemporary now. I am definitely leaning more on the adult. YA fantasy I am still enjoying a little bit, but it does depend. But yeah, I think I'm just getting a little bit too old for it now. So side note on that, but I did also dislike the main character in here massively, and I just didn't care about the plot enough to continue forward despite that fact. So yeah, most disappointing book for sure for the month of May. My most surprising book for the month of May was Jade City by Fonda Lee. I have had my eye on this for a really long time. I've really wanted to read it for ages, and then Jade said that it was going to be her Patreon buddy read for the month of May, and I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to pick this up. If I'm ever going to pick up Jade City, it's going to be in a buddy read situation where I'm either literally buddy reading it with another person or it's part of a book club read. So I'm glad I've actually decided to take the opportunity to pick this up, but I honestly thought that this was going to be way too political for me, and I think what's happening is I'm getting more into my political fantasies. I don't like them where the politics is heavy and I cannot follow it, but I'm getting more and more into it. I said this with the Poppy War earlier on in the year, where I said I was really surprised because I honestly thought I was going to DNF it because of the politics, and I didn't. I've managed to get through Mistborn Era 1. There's politics in that. It's not too heavy. I've managed to get through the Greatcoats. Again, more politics, but not too heavy. Easy to follow. So I wouldn't specifically pick up what would be deemed a very, very specific heavy political fantasy. I don't think, I can't even think of one off the top of my head, but I don't think I would necessarily reach one of those. But after saying that, it looks like I'm opening up my horizons a little bit more. So really enjoyed this one. Very surprised I didn't DNF it. It was great though. I had a great time with it. As mentioned, I gave it 4 stars. And then favourite book of the month, I don't think anybody is surprised by this, but it's Tyrant's Throne by Sebastian de Castell, which is the last in the Greatcoat series. As I just mentioned, Saint's Blood was my least favourite of the series, but it's still got 5 stars. But Tyrant's Throne was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. This ended up getting a 9.57 on Corepile. It actually got the same as Heartstopper Volume 4, so it could be Heartstopper Volume 4 or Tyrant's Throne, but honestly, Tyrant's Throne. So yeah, I just loved this series so much, and I think no matter how many times it might happen, I don't think I would ever get bored of rereading this series. I think this is one of those that you could reread it over and over again, never get bored, but probably see some things that you didn't see the first time around you read it. So really enjoyed this. Love this series so much. I highly recommend picking this one up if you're into your grim, dark fantasy. It is very grim, it is very dark, lots of torture. There are rape scenes, abuse, animal abuse in here, fight scenes, lots of blood and gore. Do be careful going into it if any of those are triggers for you, but it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Sebastian's writing style is top notch, chef's kiss. So highly recommend. Favourite book of the month. So yeah, that is my main wrap up. I had a really good reading month. I'm really looking forward to June. I'm hoping that I can read just as much, if not more, in June for whatever-a-thon. I'm really excited. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments down below what your favourite book was, what your worst book of the month was. Did something disappoint you? Was something surprising for you? Let me know in the comments down below, and I shall see you next time. Bye for now.